I have this other voice that looks out for me. When there's a part of me that's trying to distract me from what's going on. I'm Earl Purdy. Welcome to A Course in Miracles. That's a course in correct perception. It's called A Course in Miracles because it says if we have a correct perception, it's a miracle. So that's why it's called A Course in Miracles. So welcome my mighty companions on Facebook Live, and mighty companions in the room. Even though you may have heard this, and I sometimes feel like a flight attendant on an airplane, because people have heard this so many times, and sometimes when I say it, everybody's attention is everywhere else, like when you're on an airplane. But this is the key to really hearing what the Course in Miracles is teaching, is remembering this. You need not you. Need not you. Need not believe the ideas. You. And you need not accept the ideas. You need not even welcome the ideas. Everybody hear that?
Yes.
Some of the ideas you, Earl, may actively resist. May what? Actively resist. Some of the ideas you will find hard to believe. Saying what? Some of the ideas, I would prefer to say a lot, but some of the ideas you will find hard to believe. And some of the ideas may seem to be quite startling. So what do? You are not asked to judge and analyze the ideas at all. So if you are a judger and an analyzer, then Chris, then you may be in hell for an hour or so. Triple Virgo. Their use will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. Their use will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. In the Course in Miracles text, in the Foundation for Inner Peace version of the Course, we're going to be in chapter 18. I got a few extra books. The Passing of the Dream. The Passing of the Dreams. Those of you online, so great to see my family online. So page 382, 382. So as people come online, would you tell them, would you put in the comments the page we're on so I won't have to keep saying it over and over again, those of you online, all over the world. Page 382, The Happy Dream, section 5 in chapter 18, The Passing of the Dream, section 5, 382, The Happy Dream. Okay? Now, the Course in Miracles is a course in how to let go of your way of seeing things that blocks you from having love and peace and joy and happiness. It's based on the premise that you are the one that's giving everything in your life all the meaning that it has for you. Anybody disagree with that? You are the one that's giving everything the meaning that it has for you, okay? And then out of the meaning that you're giving it, you have an emotional reaction. So your feelings about things are coming from your interpretations about things. Can anybody see that? Okay. I want you to be with that for just a minute. Just a minute. I want you to think about that. I'll say that again because it's one of those things that we agree with very rapidly, but in actual application of it, we don't live our lives that way. We don't live our lives as if the way that I'm feeling is not being caused by somebody else and what they're doing and how they're acting. Just look at the current political climate. It's very few people would say they're upset because of the way they're seeing things. Or in relationships, that the problem I'm having with my partner is that I expect them to change in order for me to be happy. You see, so the truth is, the course is about giving us new interpretations of everything so that we will be able to maintain our peace. And do you know that out of having peace of mind, you can hear your own inner divine guidance? Because according to the course, we all have the Holy Spirit, the loving right mind, our divine self in us, trying to guide us, but we are not listening. Who are we listening to?
The ego.
The ego. And what is the ego? The voice that I've made up. It's my own self-image. It's my own self-concept. One of my favorite definitions in the course, and there's many of them, of the ego is, he says the ego is the part of the mind that thinks it's completely on its own. It's the part of us that thinks we're separate from each other and that we're out here trying to make it.
Right.
And we're trying to do everything on our own. Anybody familiar with that part of themselves?
Right.
Okay. It's the part of you that thinks there's a me sitting over there, over here, and a you sitting over there. We got to kind of look out for each other and not look out for each other, look out for ourselves and see ourselves as disconnected from each other and disconnected from source. That's what the ego is. It's the part of Earl that thinks he's separate and different and apart from each and every one of you and everything else. It's the part of Earl that believes he is a body, which we call a human being. It's the part of Earl that has forgotten his divinity, his true creation. So basically the course is based on the premise that we have divine amnesia.
We do.
That we've forgotten who we are and we have instead identified with a substitute identity that was dictated to us by the world and our culture. So you have and he says we missed the most obvious clue that what we think about ourselves is not true. And it says the most obvious clue is fear. The most obvious clue is I'm upset, I'm worried, I'm not happy, I'm angry, I feel guilty. It's in other words, there's some chairs in there also. There's no way that we are seeing ourselves correctly according to the course, and we feel a lack of peace. So when you are listening to you, as opposed to listening to you, the real you, the course says there's a very easy way to tell that that's happening. You are unhappy and upset. It's not, the course teaches that complexity is a smoke screen. Do you know that complexity is just a smoke screen to hide the simplicity of the truth? The course teaches that simplicity is very difficult for twisted minds. So the course teaches the more twisted your mind is, the more that when someone tells you very simple truths, you just don't get it. Okay? So this section, and so I believe that there's never an accident who shows up on a Sunday. I believe that the universe spirit sends people. There are no accidents. So even if you don't agree with what you're hearing, it's still no accident you're here. And I don't know how to break this to you, but your agreement doesn't determine the truth of what I'm saying. Okay, so don't think I'm sitting up here thinking that you're agreeing with the course somehow affects the truth of it. Okay, even though we love to play the role of we're the arbiter of what's real. If I agree with you, it's true. If I don't agree with you, it's not true. That's crap. You know, I say there's gravity, you say you disagree, go jump off the building and see if you fall up. So your belief has nothing to do with the truth of anything, but it does have everything to do with how you perceive and experience things. Agreed?
Yes.
All right. So the first thing what I like to do is just read through the paragraph first, then come back and see what the message is that the course is trying to give us. All right. Prepare you now for the undoing of what never was. If you already understood the difference between truth and illusion, the atonement, the undoing of your errors would have no meaning. The holy instant, the holy relationship, the Holy Spirit's teaching, and all the means by which salvation, which is peace, is accomplished would have no purpose. For your healing relationships, your healing spirit's teaching, all these things are the means by which your peace is accomplished. They are all just aspects of the plan to change your dreams of fear to happy dreams. Why are we here? To change your dreams of fear to happy dreams. You are here to change your fear to happiness, from which you waken easily to knowledge. Here's very important instruction. Put yourself not in charge of this. For you cannot distinguish what? Between advance and retreat. What you say? You cannot distinguish between advance and retreat. What does that mean? Some of your greatest advances you have judged as failure. What? Some of your greatest advances you have judged as failures. And some of your deepest retreats you have evaluated as success. What? Some of your deepest retreats you have evaluated as success. So, let's see what the juice is in that. So what is the first thing that we're preparing for today? We're going to prepare for the undoing of what never was in the first place. There was never condemnation of you. There was never judgment of you. There was never any guilt in you, sin in you, lack in you, anything missing in you, separation in you. So we're according to the course, we are preparing to undo what really isn't there in the first place in terms of who you are. If you're filthy dirty and you go take a shower, you're not the dirt that you're washing off your body. Who you were is the same as it was when you were totally clean. So the course is saying to us, you're just undoing stuff that never was a part of you in the first place, but maybe you learned to think of it as a part of you. And it's saying, if you already knew the difference, what is it telling us? If you already knew the difference between what was true and what wasn't, then learning the course would have no meaning. There would be no need to learn how to undo mistakes. If you already knew the difference between the truth and what's not true, then you wouldn't have made the mistakes that you're trying to have undone right now. And the holy instant, which you could say the healing instant, the holy relationship, which you can say is a healing relationship, the teaching of your divine self, which you would call the Holy Spirit, these are all the means by which your peace is accomplished. So how is my peace accomplished? It's coming through having a healing instant. It's coming through having a healing relationship. It's coming through having all the things that Spirit is trying to teach us. The Course says that would have no purpose if you didn't want to undo everything that causes your pain, everything that undoes your fear. So the reason why I like to work with the book, even though I've been doing this for almost 40 years, is because it continues to reveal itself at a deeper and deeper level as I studied, like peeling the layers of an onion, and then like my family thinks I'm a slow learner. They often ask me, are you still reading that book? I don't stop doing what works. That's one of the things. See, when you're a teacher, people don't realize that when you play the role of, and I repeat, play the role of a teacher, then it makes you the principal learner. Because I have attended most of the classes I've taught. At a few parties, it was doubtful that I was here. I was truly channeling. But my point in saying that is, I've heard this over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, so it helps me accept it more and more and more and more and more. And what I've noticed is the more I accept it, the more peaceful my life becomes, and the more things work out, and the more harmony I have, and the more love I have, and the more peace I have, and the more freedom I have. But it's so subjective that it's hard for other people to believe the Course works the way it does, because unless you are using it and applying it, you're just still seeing your world and your perceptions and your beliefs. So you don't realize that there are other people that are absolutely not experiencing the world that you are. And you attract the people who see it the way you see it, which further reinforces in your mind that this is the way it is, and that's how culture is made. That's how society is created. It's a bunch of people with the same erroneous beliefs hanging out. And we call it society. And we know morality is made up because it varies from culture to culture, country to country. See, anything that's real, it's real for all of us according to the Course. If it's real, there are no exceptions. If it's unreal, there's always an exception. It says if there's one exception, it's not a universal law. A universal law applies to everybody. We can't decide at this level of consciousness, like I said earlier, that we're not going to use the law of gravity. It applies whether you're Democrat, Republican, independent, black, white, young, old, rich, poor. What's real is real for all of us. Okay? All right? And that's a good thing. Because if the love of our Creator is real, then it's real for all of us, which means you are not left out. You only have the belief you are. The belief you are produces the perception that you are. Then you draw people who reinforce the perception that you're left out of the love, which further convince you that you're left out of the love, which makes more situations seem to show up. That makes it look like you're left out of the love. So your perception and your physical senses are lovely liars. They just reflect back to you what you believe, even if it's not true. That's why it's a liar. Just because you believe it, you're going to see it, but it doesn't mean it's true. So the Course says for the holy relationship, the holy instant, the Holy Spirit's teaching, he says these are all just aspects of a plan. So there is a plan. Do you know there is a plan at work in your life? And I'm going to tell you what the Course says the plan is. The plan is to change your dreams, which the Course calls your false ideas and fantasies of fear, to happy dreams. So imagine you're asleep and you're having a nightmare. If someone grabbed you to wake you up while you're having a nightmare, you may scream as if the person that's touching you is initially a part of the nightmare you're having. Right? So what you really need is somebody that wakes you up gently. And then being awakened gently is having your experiences of fear change to experiences of love. And then I'll wake you up from your dream. So we go from what we would call an unhappy life to a happy life, and then you wake up to what real life is. Okay? So the Course is telling us that that's the same as waking up easily to knowledge. So what is knowledge? The definition of knowledge from the Course is absolute certainty. Absolute certainty of love, absolute certainty of self, absolute certainty of your Creator. Because if you have absolute certainty, you have no doubt, and if you have no doubt, you have no fear. So we're going, and now that, because that's the only thing that's real is love. So anything that's not love has to end by definition, and that's why your relationships haven't lasted. It would be cruel to let some of your relationships last. Because it's amazing what people put up with. And they think being spiritual means you can more patiently suffer for a longer time. So spirituality is I can stay in a horrible situation much longer than I used to could. And so the Course said something to me that blew my mind in the earlier part of the book. It said to me, when you begin to wake up spiritually, you are going to find that minor intrusions of discomfort bother you more, not less. You will become less patient with someone who doesn't love you. You become less patient with being on a job that you hate. You become less patient with anything that blocks your joy as you spiritually awaken. Now, doesn't that make more sense when you really think about it? That if I think I deserve more, I become more impatient with holding back my happiness. And if I don't think I deserve to be happy, I'm very patient with the suffering that I'm going through. So if you're finding yourself right now more impatient than ever with things that don't give you joy, you are actually spiritually awakening. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Okay? Well, that's how you can tell when you're not looking at something correctly, because according to the Course, when you're not looking at something correctly, you don't see the benefit of it. Because there is no situation that couldn't be ultimately used for your benefit. Even if it's not pleasant, there's still another way you could look at it that could be for your benefit. But you don't have to suffer to learn. You don't have to suffer to learn. Get rid of no pain, no gain. Because that's telling the universe to give you pain so you can gain. Then you go through pain and you complain it. And you hear people do that all the time. They go, no pain, no gain. You have to have the pain to grow. Then what are you complaining about? That's what I always want to ask them. What's the problem here? Based on what you just told me, you should be in ecstasy. You ought to be the happiest person in the world, if I'm telling you what you just told me a few minutes ago. So, and then the Course says, and the most important thing in this whole paragraph to me was where it says, don't put yourself in charge of this. Don't put yourself in charge of you taking yourself from sleep to awakening, from fear to... Because you're the one that made the perception that you're unhappy in. Yeah. You're the one that put yourself in this situation. I don't care what happened in the past, to you in the past, and I have compassion if it was a painful past. Now is the only time there is. Now is the only time there is. Now is the only time there is. And if I'm going to make a change, I got to do it now. And what does that mean? I have to use now to interpret what's happening to me now in terms of my new spiritual teaching that I'm learning. And it may not be the Course in Miracles for everyone. I'm not one of those teachers that's saying this is the only way. This is the way for the people who it's the way for. And I'm a teacher of the people that it's a way for as well as the people who are just checking it out. Okay? But I'm especially helpful to the ones who have said, this is my path. Because I've committed 4 decades of my life to this. This is why I was born. This is my calling. It's not a job. It's not my career. It's not what I do to make it in the world. It's what I was born to teach. Right? And when you do your calling, you will be taken care of. And I have learned that to be true because I'm still eating and have a roof over my head and I'm being taken care of. And the people, you can't imagine how many different people I've seen in the last 40 years. And most of them said, I'll stick with you. So the one thing you can always count on so you will never be disappointed is change. Always believe what people are saying if possible while they're saying it. So you better jump on it as soon as they say it. Okay? Because you give them 48 hours, 15 minutes, 30 minutes later, and they could be in a whole different perception of what they just said. Okay? You say you want to take me out to dinner? This class over at 2 o'clock. How about today? What about right now? You know. When do spiritual cats want it? Meow. So, why is it that you shouldn't put yourself in charge of your own awakening? Good question. Because you don't know the difference between when you are advancing, and the Course says when you are retreating. You don't really know when you are really moving forward towards your spiritual goal and when you have delayed yourself. What does that mean? It means that some of your greatest advances, the thing that's helped you out the most, you may call your deepest retreat. Let me give you an example that maybe relates to the level of the world. Let's say I wanted to be a successful musician and it looked like we tried to put out a record and it failed and it didn't go anywhere. And then I go, that's the worst thing that could have happened to me. The truth is, I learned so many lessons out of that actually it was a great advance. Because now I know more about that than ever before. Sometimes when I have moved away from the truth the most, I thought was my greatest success. For instance, when it looked like, let's just say in a relationship, it looked like you upset me because you didn't act out my script and I guilt tripped you to death. And you went, you're right, I should do better, I'm wrong, give me another chance, I'm going to do what you want me to do, please don't leave me. Then I go, see there? I claim my power. Actually, that was a deep retreat. That wasn't a great advance. That was me retreating because now I'm making my happiness dependent on your changing your mind. You enabled me in that erroneous attitude because you gave in to my guilt trip. So I help out a lot of people in my life by never doing nothing they want me to do. You're about to get advanced. What, I ain't doing it. I'm not going to change one single thing about me for you. And then they go into a deep retreat by saying, you are selfish. See, they think that's a great advance for them to call me out. But actually, it's a deep retreat because they disempowered themselves. See, what I've learned through the Course is I can have anything pretty much I want if I don't decide who should give it to me. That's right. I'll say it again. Amen. I can have pretty much anything I want unless I'm overruled because I have given the divine power of attorney. So most of the things I ask for, I don't get. God works overtime for me. I didn't get that either. No, you didn't need that either, buddy. That wouldn't help you either. That wouldn't help you either. That wouldn't help you either. So you get to the point that you ask for what you want, but you also are grateful when you don't get it. And you're grateful when you do get it. But the other thing I noticed through the Course was if I didn't decide on who was supposed to give it to me, then Spirit would send it to me in the fastest way I could possibly have it, which would be who wanted to give it to me. And if I wanted to get it even faster, to realize that my happiness comes from me, so that I don't really need any of the things I'm asking for to be happy.
It's true.
See, when I hear people like really ambitious, and that's cool, and they're telling me all the things they want to accomplish in the world in order to be happy, that's cool. But I know as being on this path for quite a few years and watching other masters, that none of the things that people tell you is going to make them happy in most cases will make them happy. Especially if what they're telling you is something outside of themselves that they think is going to do it. It's not. So they'll begin, as soon as I get my degree, I know I'm going to be happy and I can get a house in Highlands Ranch. And I know I'm going to be happy, you know. And I know the house in Highlands Ranch and the degree are both neutral. They're neither good nor bad. I know they're going to make that a miserable experience for themselves, or they're going to make that a really fun experience for themselves, because the Course teaches salvation comes from me, my happiness comes from me, my peace comes from me, that the love I feel for you all is not coming from you all, it's coming from me giving it to you all, and I'm feeling it come through me as I give it to you all, and then I go, y'all, really, I feel your love. No, I'm feeling the love I'm giving you. I'm feeling the joy I'm giving to you. You may not be receiving it at all. You may be watching your watch. right? Right? So the Course is like trying to show us where happiness is really located. Where it's really, because it says, one of the ways you can guarantee you'll never have what you want is to look for it where it's not located. It's just a rule.
That's true.
It's just a rule. And he says, because you lost something doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. You just forgot where it is. So each one of us have blessings that we've just forgotten where they're located. Right? So the Course says, what some of your deepest retreats you have evaluated as success. So before I go to the next paragraph, I'm going to take about 5 minutes to give you an opportunity to ask me a question about what I've talked about or to make a comment, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Any comments or questions? Yes. Yes, young lady.
I was just going to say that that last line, as far as some of your deepest retreats have been evaluated as success. Like, I know before I found the Course in Miracles, I used to think that blocking off love was a way of staying safe. And so I used to think that retreating, you know, which would be like blocking people out, pushing people away, was like a way that I was just having constant protection. And so it's just interesting because fear and the ego is like everything is the opposite of the way it appears, which is like my fear of losing love was causing me to constantly lose love because I was never open to receive or give it. And so it's great that a spiritual path doesn't have to be irrational. Like, this actually makes more sense.
Thank you. Thank you, young lady of truth. Anyone? Did y'all hear that? That's the truth. That's the truth. If I'm afraid of love, then love isn't going to come to me in my perception. So that means I have to draw to me the opposite. The Course says there is no middle ground where you decide whether you're going to choose for love or fear. It says you're either one or the other. So it's not like this neutral place. You either right now feeling connected and you're feeling somewhat restricted or retreat. So just understand that you're never in a neutral place deciding what you're going to experience. I could be in a fearful place deciding whether I want fear or love, or I can be a loving place trying to decide. But you're in one or the other all the time. We're either in a state of joining and connectedness right now, or we're in a state of thinking that we're separate from each other right now. But what's important to remember is no matter which one of these states of consciousness you're in, what do you think is important to remember? That you have the unconditional love of God, the universe, and the truth. And there is nothing that you can come up with that will end eternal love. You can only temporarily interfere with your perception of the reality of it. But it's going to be there waiting for you. I just bought, recently got me what's called an Oculus Go. Now, an Oculus Go is a VR, virtual reality headset. And it's the biggest trip that I've given myself besides the trips I've given myself. In the interest of spiritual development, I have explored in many things. That I have no guilt about after 40 years of the Course. Okay. And put this thing, the Holy Spirit, my higher self, just used it to wake me up at another level that I'm still reeling from. You put this thing on your head, right? And it covers your whole face like this. And then when you operate the program with your pointer, now get this, my pointer, then you go into a reality. And one was like, I went into a reality where it was a live concert in someone's living room. When in virtual reality, it's not like watching a 3D movie. It looks like you're sitting in the living room and you're looking at people who are looking at you the same way you're looking at me right now. They look just as big. They look exactly like you. And when you turn your head, you get the exact same perspective as when you're turning your head in this room. If you look up, you're looking at a ceiling. If you look behind you, you're looking at... So you got a 360-degree view that looks like you're absolutely in it. And when you are on a roller coaster, it feels exactly like you're on the roller coaster because the mind can't tell the difference between the real and the vividly imagined. You may not know that, but it doesn't know the difference. So for you, for all intents and purposes, you are having, I looked at one where I was in Africa and they were showing the animals there. Then I look up and, there's a rhinoceros just right there standing in front of me, and it looks like he's right there. Okay, so all of a sudden I realized that was a perfect example of what the Course is teaching that we're experiencing. This is virtual reality. Your mind is the headset. Because remember, I got the headset on, but I'm still sitting in the chair in my bedroom. My actual reality is completely different from the virtual reality I'm experiencing, right? And the headset is on my head, and so there's a reality outside of the virtual reality that I'm looking at that seems completely real. And I have an avatar, which is a me that gets projected into the environment so that you can go to concerts with other people anywhere and it look like you're sitting next to each other, but you're all both at home. Kind of getting what I'm saying? Okay, so I'm sitting there and all of a sudden it hit me, I'm in virtual reality, but a much more advanced level of it is what the Course is saying. Imagine that I got in this virtual reality and I began to believe I was the avatar, which is the symbol of me in the dream. And I forget that I'm sitting in my bedroom. I forget that I'm not really on the roller coaster. I forget that the monster really isn't chasing me down the street. But it seems totally real to me that I need somebody to wake me up to the fact that I'm looking at a program that's not real. Right? And I'm also looking at a program because I could just as easily have a program that's projecting a virtual reality of total bliss where everything is going great, where I'm rich, where I'm driving down the street in a Rolls Royce if I was into material wealth. You understand what I'm saying? That's just a different program. So I want the part of my headset, the part of my mind to side with putting the programs that reflect peace and love as opposed to going into the virtual realities where it looks like there's fear and conflict. Because then my avatar is running away from a monster, but over here my avatar is in Hawaii. Right?
Yeah.
Right? But the danger is whether I'm being chased by the monster in one virtual reality or experiencing bliss in the other one, is neither one of them are real. Neither one of them are real. The one that's pleasant in a way is more dangerous to my recognition of the truth. Because the pleasant one, where I'm on the beach and have an avatar that look like a hunk, right? Okay? Because you can choose what it looks like. Oh, you mean I could choose did I choose my body? Did I choose my race? Did I choose my sex in this avatar? And, right, okay. So all of a sudden, I realized that what I really want is to be awakened to the fact that I'm not either one of them. And that's what we call the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is that part of us that knows it's a program that has the ability to give you a happy dream so that you will wake up. Because it's based on the premise that if you go to New York with me and you have a good time, if I invited you to go to Paris with me, you'd be much more likely to go, even if you've never been to Paris or out of the country. So the premise of the Course is, I'm going to take you where you are. I'm going to give you a new experience of it that you feel safe and loved, even if it's not real. And then just maybe you will trust me enough to move into the reality of what you are that's better than any program that you have programmed yourself to receive. So what what you're trying to get back to is the you that's put the headset on. Because guess what? I took the headset off. And there was another thing too. It got to a point that the battery ran down. It says it's going to cut off. It's powering down in 2 minutes. It's going off. You call it death. So you can't stay in the virtual reality forever, even if you want to. Just like you can't stay in this one after a certain length of time, but you call it death. Because the avatar would say, I just died! Because it was no longer being projected. So your choice is, do you want to move from the virtual reality of fear to the virtual reality of the happy dream? Do you want, because I was the one that chose which program I watched, so do you want to become the chooser or the avatar? You want to be the chooser. Of course, in Miracle says there is only one power that we have left with at the level of the world as spiritual beings. That's the power of decision.
And what the section says is not to decide alone. You know, that I don't want to be in charge of deciding.
And that's right. And I want to have, for instance, for the analogy again, it would be great if I had a buddy over here who didn't have the headset on. And when I was going crazy at seeing the monster chase me, they could remind me the monster isn't real. The monster isn't real. And that's what we're supposed to be doing in our relationship. I know you're upset and you're afraid right now the monster isn't real. It's a projection of your consciousness. And you could have somebody that loves you put in another program for you while you are too afraid to change the program yourself. And that's called the Holy Spirit from A Course in Miracles perspective.
Where do we get the update for this?
This is it. I'm updating you right now. And that's funny because that's the first thing it said when I clicked it on. It went updating because it had to, and I've updated a few times myself. I'm trying to update right now. You know, date at a whole new level. Updating. We need to do that. Y'all need to update. A bunch of y'all need to update because y'all down dating. And people like to down date if they think it gives them more power over the other person. So they choose people who are less aware than they are so that they can think they have control over that person. That's why people tend not to form relationships with people who know more than them or that's equal to them. There's a part of them that wants to put the power balance on their side. So they'll purposely hook up with people that they know, they think, are not more aware than they are unconsciously.
So I had a question because when you were saying about, because I believe that my soul came in, chose this body.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, it's a shortcut. Your body is a shortcut.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But my mind.
Do you understand what I'm saying when I say
Yeah.
your body is a shortcut? What do
Yeah.
you think I'm saying when I say that?
Yeah, so that I could evolve, like quickly.
Right, because if you deal with more what appears to be challenging situations around your body, then you learn lessons at a much greater level than most people do. So souls choose bodies that are sometimes perceived to be challenging bodies because they want to save some time.
So I do this. Do I do this? Do I do this because my soul needs to, or because my soul wants to?
You're doing it because of both. There's a part of you that wants to wake up, and there's a part of you that needs to wake up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but you don't have to wake up through pain.
Okay.
You can wake up through joy.
Okay.
See,
Yeah.
and that's what you're doing because you're hearing another way to look at your experience. Like if you could look at your body or any situation, and you can say, okay, how is this benefiting me? No matter what the situation is, you'll handle it better. No matter what the situation is, you'll handle it better if you look at it as if it's serving some purpose, even if you don't know what the purpose is. And if you accept that the universe is a good universe, then we'd have to assume that everything that's happening in the world is serving some greater purpose, even if we don't recognize it is. But that doesn't mean you're necessarily to be passive about what's going on, because your role could be to be an activist in some way in the situation. That could be your role. Your role could be you're the one that's marching outside. That could be your role. And then somebody else's role might be, I'm not going to be outside marching, but I'm going to be meditating and I'm going to see peace in the world. You know, this is my function. When you do your function, you can always tell. You never get tired of it. And I hardly seem depressed as a teacher. Right? And you feel inspired by it all the time. If you're not feeling inspired, you're not in spirit. You're just doing it for security. And doing things just for security is not the same as answering your calling. And if you're doing something just for security, it also seems like you're struggling because you're out of touch with your power. You know, that was one of the things, it was astrology that got me on my spiritual path, because astrology at a divine spiritual level just is a blueprint of the intentions of the soul in coming into the dream, like telling you what your program is really about and how your program could be used to wake you up. Everything has the purpose of waking us up. That's what's so cool about it, you know. So I'm going to go to the next paragraph unless there's something that somebody just got to say.
I love you, man. I just met you, but your energy is just like so inspiring and awesome in the true sense of that. So thank you.
Thank you, brother. I love that. I love that you have the correct perception of me. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You know when somebody's seeing you correctly because they say something like that. See, when somebody's saying something like that other than me, I go, oh, they're not seeing me correctly. I don't go, I need to change. If there's something about me that needs to be changed, I will be taught to recognize it. I don't have to worry about that. Yeah.
One other thing I like.
Thank you, brother. What's your name?
Brian.
Brian. Glad to meet you, Brian.
See that we need to make a change. We can either go through it through love, or we can change, either easily, or we can go through it through fear.
That's right. That's
And,
right.
Yeah, it's a lot nicer to go through love.
Yeah. At the level of the program that we're in, we will learn a valuable lesson of at this level that we need to, let's say, take care of our environment. Now, we're going to learn that lesson, even if that lesson comes through the depletion of whatever it is we perceive that takes care of us. So what we're saying is, I'm willing to get the lesson without the pain. I'm willing to get, if the lesson is for me to love you all and let you be and see you as free and see you as innocent and well, I can just voluntarily decide to do that. I don't have to have a horrible something happen to me so I can decide to treat you right. I could just decide to treat you right because I'm going to do that for two reasons. First of all that I give is given to myself. You are myself, so how I treat you is how I'm treating myself. But the problem with that is if I don't love myself, then I'm going to mistreat you because that's what I think I deserve. So do unto others as you would have them do unto you only works if you're seeing yourself and the other person correctly. Other than that, it's a really lame law. Do unto others you have to do, but hell, what I'm doing to myself is hell. It's horrible. So I always joke and say the murderer wants to be murdered. That's why he's killing. He hates himself. So that's called death by cop. Where people just go ahead and do something, they know they're gonna get shot, and that's your last relationship. Okay, now. So, ouch. And you all know you just too cute to suffer. Y'all know that. You know that if you just close your mouth and don't say nothing, you're going to have dates. Just be quiet. Because you know you're cute. That's in the world. The only thing that matters is your appearance. Yeah. So then what was the thing that the next paragraph says? It says, never approach the healing instant. That's another word for holy, the loving instant. It says, what should you do? Well, never approach the healing instant after you tried to remove all fear and hatred from your mind. What? What did you just tell me? Don't approach God. Don't approach truth. Don't approach the healing after you've already tried to heal yourself. That's the instruction. What's instruction number 1? Don't put yourself in charge of this. What's instruction number 2? Don't approach the healing instant after you've tried to be the one to solve your problem. See, I see right away that shows me what the error I've been making. I decide what should happen, and then I ask the advice of God. I decide what's best for me, then I say, God, I've decided what's best for me is to be the president of Kellogg's. Then I ask God how to become the president of Kellogg's. See, I only use God to try to help me with the decision I've already made. I didn't ask Spirit if I should even be the president of Kellogg's. And, can I really handle some sugar smacks? Sounds like prom night. Okay. All right. That was my first girlfriend's name, Sugar Smacks. All right, okay. Then the Course in Miracles says that's the function of a healing instant, is to remove all fear and hatred from your mind. So the function of the truth is, this will remove the fear and hatred from your mind. You don't have to try to remove the fear and hatred from your mind. If you use the thought system of love and truth, it will absolutely. See, you're supposed to have I'm going to tell you what my intention is with all of y'all, okay? My intention with all of you all is to have a relationship with you that is eternal and lasts forever. My purpose with all of you all is to have a friendship with you that never ends. My purpose with each and every one of you is to co-create with you a relationship that's so full of love that it becomes the essence of God. My purpose for each and every one of you is to take sole responsibility for myself in this relationship and to use this relationship to wake up in light so that together we could create something that's good, something that's beautiful, and something that's holy. And that we have such a love for each other that's so strong that our love will dissolve any of the fear that comes up in any of us. Because there's so much love, we can't be afraid of each other. And that any guilt that we have be replaced with forgiveness. That's my purpose with every one of you. You understand what you know what I'm saying? That's what you should be saying to each other. That's what we should be saying to each other. And then the way we play that out, the dance that we do to express that is going to be unique and it's going to be fun because each one of us has chosen to be an individualized expression of God. So that doesn't mean I'm going to have the same experience with every one of you in form. But I will have the same experience with you in content. We'll end up loving each other. But the way I do it with Chris is going to be different from the way I do it with Sarah J. You know what I'm saying? And that's the fun part of it. See, I don't mind having a variety of experiences that I don't know what to expect as long as I know it's going to be safe and loving. Then that's what I'm concerned with, the content, not the form. The form can surprise me. So you're not going to get bored because when people feel safe, they reveal themselves. And when they reveal themselves, you'll see the unique aspect of God that they are. And they will show you things you would never, ever have even imagined was possible for you to see and experience with them. People act the same because they're afraid and don't know each other. Y'all know y'all don't act the same way with your close friends as you act in this class. Because I've been around a lot of y'all. I know you don't. So, but we do now because in the room, who's in the room? Who's in the room is our representatives. This is all we're seeing right now is each other's representative. You know, the part of us that's deciding what's going to come in and what's not. The minute you feel really, really safe with me, then that's why I like to be with people on one-on-ones, because on one-on-one, I really know what they want to do and not do with me. Right? Because there's no one else to be affected by whatever we do together. Right? So then I get a more honest expression of how they want to be with me. That's all I'm saying. I just know more about how they want to be with me, not what they're capable of, but how they want to be with me. So and that doesn't mean that I'm going to do everything that they would want to do with me, but at least I would know what's happening. See, so you want to listen, and you want to have communication, and you want to have an intention. Just like I said, because the goal determines the outcome. The goal determines the outcome. So therefore, by me setting that intention that I set with you, I know if I'm faithful to that intention, I know what I'm going to experience with you. Exactly what we just got through saying, especially if you wanted to. So I try to do things, I got this radical concept about stuff. I try to do stuff with people that want to do it with me. Don't tell anybody, just between us. I try to do stuff with people because it increases the possibility it will happen. I used to want the challenge. You know, the one that didn't want to go out with me, well, I'm going to change her mind. It's like, buddy, that's kind of a dumb approach. If you want to have this experience, wouldn't it be faster, quicker, and more logical to have it with who wants to have it with you? And since the universe knows everybody, wouldn't it make more sense? I went to out dancing just the other night, and whenever I walk into any kind of social situation like that, live music band, I say, first of all, I'm here to bless everybody in the crowd. So as soon as I walk in, in my mind, I bless everybody in the crowd. Then I say to the universe, the Holy Spirit, I go, you know who would love to connect with me tonight. God, you know who would be the best person for me to spend time with, who would enjoy me out of all these people, you know. So then I just started dancing by myself because I didn't want my happiness to be dependent on having some dance partner, right? Because my feeling is I'm whole and complete, and I like to twerk with myself. Okay, so some of y'all know about the twerking. Y'all know about the twerking. All right. So I'm dancing. My buddy over here, the bowler, we were dancing, and then he'll tell you what happened. I was just dancing, and all of a sudden, this young lady just came and got me. She just came and got to come over here and dance with me. You know what I'm saying? And we danced, and we had a great time dancing. And she said, "My name is Jennifer. You know, just like J-Lo. And she was dancing, and she knew all the songs, and we were just, because she liked funk, and I liked funk. See, I didn't do anything but just ask for what I wanted. When I got through dancing, I went back and sat down. I didn't try to hit on her. I didn't try to get nothing from her. All I knew was I asked for that experience, and if I started to try to plan about what I should get out of it, now I'm in my ego, and I'm doing a deep retreat. See, I didn't want to do a retreat with her. I didn't want to. I knew that we were together to have the experience that I asked for in that minute, and as soon as I wanted to get anything other than that, I was now retreating. I was taking myself from the happy dream to the fearful dream. And so I decided to be satisfied with what we did. And I let that be whole and complete. And if there was anything else that was supposed to happen, she would have let me know. That's right. Because one thing I know about all of us, whatever we're really interested in somebody, in any kind of way we're really interested in them for real, we let them know some kind of way. Even if you're bashful, you might slip on a little note. You know what I'm saying? But when we want something, our nature is to go after it, whether it's male or female. We just got our own individual ways of doing that. So I knew if that's all that happened, but then I had to ask myself, the other thing that the Holy Spirit tells me to ask myself to have a happy dream, says, what is your purpose? What is it for? So as soon as I have a desire, and as soon as I have any kind of appetite toward anybody, I go, the voice goes, what's your purpose? What is it for? What do you want to do that for? What do you want to come out of this? That nails me to the wall every time. Because immediately you'll know whether your goal is an ego goal of just getting, or you'll know if you really have a higher purpose that you'd like to experience with this person. And so all you have to do is ask you. And then what you do then is you save yourself the whole dance that is the retreat. You know, so that's a practical application of the Course. That this is not something abstract. It's something you can take into every experience that you have. So I had to know the difference between what would be having a true relationship with this person and what would be having a false relationship with this person. And that would be me wanting anything between us other than a co-creation of a peaceful, loving experience that we could have an opportunity right then and there to have something good, holy, and beautiful created while we're dancing to the funk. You understand? So I could leave there feeling completely fulfilled about what happened. And if there was a physical experience or some type of intimate experience I wanted, I could just ask the Holy Spirit for it. And then however that was supposed to come to me, it would come to me. It wouldn't necessarily come to the person that was sent to me to dance with. See? And so these are practical applications of the Course. And that's why he was saying, don't approach the holy instant after you try to remove all fear and hatred from your mind. That's the function of the truth, the holy instant. He says, what's the next instruction? Never attempt to overlook your guilt before you ask love's help, before you ask the Holy Spirit's help. Okay, Holy Spirit, higher power, would you help me? Now help me overlook my guilt. I want love to help me overlook it. Then it goes, that's the Holy Spirit's function. To do what? To help you overlook your guilt or the belief in guilt that you have. Because the more guilty you feel, the more you're going to do the thing that's making you feel guilty. The more guilt you feel, the more you're going to do the thing that makes you feel guilty. The more innocent you feel, the less you're going to do anything that makes you feel guilty, because you know when you feel innocent, all you do is attract a lot of love and peace and joy. And when you feel guilty, you're asking for punishment. So then the Course says, on your little faith. This included me, didn't it? It said little faith. How many of y'all got little faith? Okay, everybody's got little faith covered, right? Just don't need but a little bit. He says, well, on your little faith, join with the higher power's understanding. Higher power, Holy Spirit, will build your part. Love will build your part in the atonement, which is the correction, which is the healing, and do what? Make sure you fulfill it easily. So there's a part of you, if you just have a little faith to ask the higher part of you to help you overlook your fear and hatred and guilt, it says this part of you will build your part and then give you a part that you can fulfill easily. So how do I know when I'm being guided by my higher self? I always receive something to do that I can easily do. Something wise is not going to ask you to do something you don't know how to do and is a struggle. If you really want to get something done, you ask the person who would do it, and they want to. See, that's just common sense, which the Course in Miracles calls the second coming of Christ. I love the Course. It says, second coming of Christ is the return of your common sense. Christ returning is your sense returning. Right? You ever been with somebody and just lost your freaking mind? The Course in Miracles is all about you losing your mind. He said, that's the problem, is your mind. You need to lose it. Okay. Then it says, with the Holy Spirit, your higher self, you will what? Build a ladder planted in what? The solid rock of faith, rising even to heaven. And the Course's definition of heaven is not a place. It's an experience of total oneness, total reality, total love, total joy. And it says, nor will you use this ladder to ascend what? To heaven alone. So as you ascend, you plant the ladder, then you go up the ladder, but everybody behind you can go up the ladder that you planted. So that's what the Course is saying. And once you get sane and you become loving and you plant your ladder in faith, then other people can also climb up that ladder of faith that you have put the rock solid feeling and knowledge of faith and truth in. But do what? Don't approach God after you try to remove the fear and hatred and anxiety about whatever you're in anxiety about for yourself. Don't try to overlook your guilt without asking the help of your loving divine self. Your part is to offer the Holy Spirit a little willingness. So what is your part? To have just a little bit of willingness. How many people in here have a little bit of willingness? See, that's how you know this is a divine truth that we're studying, because guess what? Everybody agreed they had at least a little bit of willingness, right? And then the Course says something else it's completely beautiful. In a sense, it says, your spiritual self will take up the slack. If you got 10% faith, your divine self will supply 90%, so you still have 100% faith. If you only have 1%, I'll come up with the other 99, so you still got 100% faith. See, to me, that sounds like something a loving being would do. So I'm learning the truth I know the difference between, more after all these years of studying the Course, I'm so much clearer on how a loving person would treat me and a person who wasn't. I know how to tell the difference between what's real and what's not. He said what's real doesn't change. Love is always love. It'll always be love. So anything that changes is not real. But the change is a blessing here, because change means that whatever you're going through can change for the better. So change is cool here. We need change here, an update. And so right now you all could have an update, because you could experience yourself moving from dreams of fear now to dreams that are happy. An experience of a virtual reality that you call this life, that's full of joy and peace, so that you finally get to the point you could take the helmet off and see that you're in a reality that's much more beautiful than anything you saw in the virtual one. I appreciate y'all for coming and listening to this much. Can we give some oneness? Can we give it to us online? Can we give it to us? So I'm going to do a quick little recap. Let's do the financial expression of appreciation. I really would want to thank you for sharing. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing. Put your pants step around for me, Chris. Those of you online, if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, go to my website, Earl Purdy, PURDY.com, if you'd like to support my teaching ministry. Those of you who would like to have a one-on-one session so that I can help you with your unoriginal problem, then take advantage of 40 years of talking to people and this book and my knowledge of astrology and numerology. And I tell people, one of the things that the Course in Miracles says, because people sometimes ask me, well, you know, how does astrology and numerology fit in to this? And I say, well, how does being a postman, a teacher, a doctor, plumber, whatever you do in the world fit in? The Course teaches that whatever you've made, Spirit can use it as a way to wake up. That there's no talent that you have, whatever that talent is, that can be used to benefit everyone. So don't judge it. Just ask yourself, tell yourself, I am ready to fulfill my function. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to know what my calling is. And the universe will rush to your assistance, because now you're asking a question that really has meaning. If you go to my website, earlpurdy.com, you can see the details about my clarity sessions. That's what I call them, and you can even book an appointment with me right there from the site. I do 3 classes a week. The next one is going to be Tuesday. I do a class called The Way of Mastery at 7 o'clock Mountain Time on Facebook Live on the Earl Purdy page. Okay? You can watch me live if you're not here. Also, Thursday night, I do what I call a hardcore Course in Miracles class. Anybody can watch it, obviously, but it's geared toward people who are studying the Course and who have decided that the Course in Miracles is their path. And they just want to take advantage of someone that's been working on it for a long, long time. And I guarantee you, I can show you tips about how to look at this that'll make it a lot easier to read. Because the problem is the simplicity of it, actually. So I'll be able to help you with the simplicity of it. And so that you can move from what? The dreams of fear to happy dreams. Don't you want to do that?
Yes.
Yeah. Don't you want to do that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So here we go. I really needed to hear what I said.
Hey, me too.
You too, yeah. It must have been for us. It's a possibility that it might be for us. And when I look at you, it's funny because I know when I look at you, I'm not looking at you. I'm actually looking at your communication devices. And I try to say that when I walk into a place like, when I go out to do my lab work, like I did Saturday, and I see all these people moving and all these different, I say, wow, look at those communication devices. Wow, look at those communication devices. Why do I do that? Because I want to separate the person from their body and know that who they really are is beyond their physical body, but their physical body is the way that their avatar, how you're functioning within this physical realm is your body. You know you're not your body. You don't look the way you did when you were 10 years old. Your body is constantly changing, but you know you're that same person that was running around the yard when you were 10 with just a lot more life experience. But your essential self is the same. And that's what's blowing my mind as my body gets old. It's like, wow, I'm still the same being, but I'm watching my body change around me. And the Course promises that your body won't even age if you start using it for what it's meant to be used for. So I still know I'm working on my purpose, right? Because it's changing. Still got a little work to do, But, you don't identify with the clothes you're wearing today. You drop it on the floor. And then we have a funeral for your clothes. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you're doing when you go to somebody's physical funeral. You're doing the exact same thing from a spiritual level. That body in the casket ain't your mama. Okay? Your mama is watching the body in the casket going,
Yeah.
wow, whoa, they think I'm dead. So if you don't want to be able to communicate with people that you think have died, you got to stop believing that you can't communicate with them because they died. Because perception makes reality. What you believe is what you see. And higher beings don't make themselves known to you in an obvious way. Why? Because it would scare the hell out of you. If I'm sitting up there watching Netflix and next thing I know Jesus popped in the chair next to me, it's going to disturb me. just a little. Just a little. Right, see, that sort of happened to you. I ain't ready yet. You know what I'm saying? I know my limitations. Just give me a voice first. Then we'll wake up to you actually manifesting in front of me in my room. And he says the reason why things like that don't happen is that it would make you doubt your right mind. It would make you doubt your sanity. And the Course says the reason it doesn't want you to doubt your sanity because it's in your mind that you got to come to recognize the truth. So if you think you're crazy, it's hard to get you to accept the new levels of consciousness that are going to be revealed to you. So things have to come to you in a way that doesn't increase your fear. You with me on that? So love always communicates with you. A person that loves you communicates with you on a level that you can hear it on without increasing your fear. So someone is trying to scare you into something, you know automatically that's an ego you're talking to. See, the Course has taught me I can talk to somebody 5 minutes and pretty much know everything I need to know about how intimate to get. Because the book has taught me this is what a sane person is going to say, do, and think. And this is what a crazy person is going to say. Then I realized I was crazy. And so then it became, how can I get in touch with my sanity? Right? And then I realized I had all these helpers. Right? Because all of you give me an opportunity to choose once again. And as you become more loving, you repel people who would hurt you. It's like a vibrational thing. So one of the things that may shock you as you begin to wake up spiritually is you think there's going to be a lot more people around you, but at first it's a lot less. Because if you're a loving person, you don't appeal to people who love drama. They're not turned on by people who love drama. People who love drama are not turned on by peaceful people. And certainly not by people who take responsibility for their experience. Because that's reminding them that they're responsible for their experience. So they seek out other people who blame and project. And they do it together. And they stay miserable together. And then they think that's the way reality is. But you know what's so cool about that? Is because it's not loving, it has to end. So the most miserable person you know can never stay miserable forever. Even if it meant they come back later and try it again another way. So you don't have to believe in reincarnation in order to benefit from the Course. But the benefit of considering reincarnation is that it teaches us that life and the body are not the same thing. That who we are is beyond this physical flesh outfit that we are wearing. And I used to want people for their flesh outfits. I know them by myself. I know none of you have ever been attracted to people because of their bodies or the way they look. I love how people look at me when I say, really? You was taking somebody because of the way they look? You know, like they haven't done it. You know what I'm saying? You know, if it's something real, I can want it with all of you equally. I can receive the truth through all of you equally. So I wouldn't have to single out any one special person if I wanted the truth. Because all of y'all can be used for the truth. But if I have a special need, then I'm going to choose who I think is going to meet that need. And that's the differences we see in people. They're just reflecting back at us the different needs we think we have. And it's okay to have that, but just ask spirit to fulfill it. Because the Course says your spiritual self will, he calls it your foolish needs. So I'll take care of your foolish needs and your real needs, just as long as you won't use what I supplied you with to keep on lingering around in your ego and in your fear and in your separation. Because the way you keep a need from being a distraction is you have it met. If I'm hungry and you feed me, my hunger is no longer a distraction. If I'm hungry and you don't feed me, I'm not listening to what you're saying because I'm visualizing the next meal. So when you get on those true spiritual path, your needs are met, all of them, your foolish ones as well as your real ones, so they won't be distractions, as long as you don't make them out of a distraction, by thinking that thing was what gave you that joy, instead of that thing being a means for something you were giving yourself. So the spiritual path is a lot simpler than anything else. So there's one last thing I want to end on. So what was the main thing we were taught today? Don't put yourself in charge of this stuff, honey child. Don't put yourself in charge of this stuff, honey child. You don't know when you're benefiting and you don't know when you are retreating. Don't approach God after you tried to remove all fear and hatred from your mind. Don't try to overlook your guilt before you ask the help of spirit. Your part is only to offer love, a little willingness to let love remove all fear and hatred. Your part is to have a little willingness to be forgiven. I am willing to be forgiven. On your little faith, joined with God's understanding, God is going to build your part in the plan to make sure you fulfill it easily. You're going to build a ladder planted in the solid rock of faith, rising even to heaven, and you're going to use it to ascend to love today. I love y'all. Thanks for coming out. Y'all are awesome. Those of you online, well, hugs are available. Hugs are available, baby.